So at age 32, I came to know the Lord as my personal Savior. And as I grew in my knowledge of the gospel and the gift that it became very personal. And I knew that my mom didn't know the Lord in that way, that she didn't have a personal relationship with Him. And so that became my burden early on in my spiritual journey. And so I would pray, and as time goes on, sometimes you wax and wane in your prayers, and then they became more fervent. I just kept lifting her up. Lord, help her to see who you are. She attended the Franklin campus when they opened, when she was in town, and she started watching church online. So things were starting to open up, and she was hearing the gospel truth. I even shared the gospel at times when we were together, and I think that she just didn't understand what that was. The church had opportunity where we could put a name on a sticky note.
But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to put down the name, just the first name and the last initial if you want to. First name and last initial. They will stay on the walls or the easels or wherever the case may be, so that for the next few weeks as we walk in here, as we get toward Easter, not only will we be reminded about, hey, I'm going to pray for them, and it helps you to remember, but what's going to happen is we're going to be praying for these names for the next 4 weeks.
And the church prayed for every one of those souls. I started seeing some changes, and I was down with her in Florida at the time on June 17th, and I was getting ready to fly home. And I had been praying all day, Lord, please open a door. And we were going to watch Biltmore online that morning, and we did. And it was Clayton King on Father's Day.
Jesus is speaking to you right now. Jesus is saying, open your heart to me, let me save you. Listen to the voice that's telling you right now to give your life to Jesus, because that's Jesus and you can trust Him.
And how he ended it was, you can't fight off Satan without Christ. So that's how I opened the door for the conversation again, and just asked her, does she believe that Jesus died for her? I went through the gospel with her again. And this time it was different. This time there were tears. And I asked her if she wants me to pray with her to receive Christ, and she said yes. And it was a very emotional moment, because it was surreal that this was actually happening, that this prayer was answered so many years later that I could have never imagined happening the way it did. God doesn't answer in your timing. He didn't answer in my timing, but when I look back on it now, I see His perfect plan in it. We don't know. We don't see all that He sees. It goes back to knowing who He is. He created everything. He sustains everything. So for prayers, for the things in our lives, He's already worked it out. Know that He's perfect. Everything about Him is perfect. And then trusting in that.